As a tribute of esteem and admiration, this poem is inscribed to Robert Merry, Esquire A.M., member of the Royal Academy at Florence, and author of The Laurel of Liberty, and the Della Crusca poems. O thou, to whom superior worths allied, thy country's honor and the muse's pride, whose pen gives polish to the varying line that blends instruction with the song divine, whose fancy, glancing o'er the hostile plain, plants a fond trophy o'er the mighty slain. Aye, or to the daisied lawn directs its way, blithe as the songstress of returning day, who deign to rove where twinkling glowworms lead the tiny legions o'er the glittering mead, whose liquid notes in sweet meanderings flow, mild as the murmurs of the bird of woe, who gave to sympathy its softest power, the charm to wing affliction's sable hour, who in Italia's groves, with thrilling song, called mute attention from the minstrel throng, gave proud distinction to the poet's name, and claimed, by modest worth, the wreath of fame. Accept the verse thy magic harp inspires, nor scorn the muse that kindles at its fires. O, justly gifted with the sacred lyre, whose sounds can more than mortal thoughts inspire, whether its strings heroic measures move, or lyric numbers charm the soul to love, whether thy fancy pours the varying verse in bowers of bliss, or o'er the plumed hearse, whether of patriot zeal, or pastoral sports, the peace of hamlets, or the pride of courts, still nature glows in every classic line, still genius dictates, still the verse is thine. Too long the muse, in ancient garb arrayed, has pinned neglected in oblivion's shade, driven from the sunshine of poetic fame. Stripped of each charm she scarcely boasts a name. Her voice no more can please the vapid throng, no more loud paeans consecrate her song. Cold, faint, and sullen, to the grove she flies. A faded garland veils her radiant eyes. A withering laurel on her breast she wears, fanned by her sighs, and spangled with her tears. From her each fond associate early fled. She mourned a Milton lost, Versecanvaspoetry dead. Her eye beheld a Chatterton oppressed D. A famished Otway ravished from her breast. Now in their place a fluttering form appears, mocks her fallen power, and triumphs in her tears. A flippant, senseless, airy thing, whose eye glares wanton mirth, and fulsome ribaldry, while motley mummery holds her tinsel reign. Shakespeare might write, and Garrick act in vain. True wit recedes, when blushing reason views this spurious offspring of the banished muse. The task be thine to check the daring hand that leads fantastic folly o'er the land. The task be thine with witching spells to bind the feathery shadows of the fickle mind, to strew with deathless flowers the dreary waste, to pluck the weeds of vitiated taste, to cheer with smiles the muse's glorious toil, and plant perfection on her native soil. The arts that through dark centuries have pinned, toiled without fame, in sordid chains confined, burst into light with renovated fire. Bid envy shrink, and ignorance expire. No more prim Nella's simpering beauties vie, or Lely's genius droops with languid eye. No more preposterous figures pain the view, aliens to nature, yet to fancy true. The wild chimeras of capricious thought, deformed in fashion, and with errors fraught. The Gothic phantoms sickening fade away, and native genius rushes into day. Reynolds. 'Tis thine with magic skill to trace the perfect semblance of exterior grace. Thy hand, by nature guided, marks the line that stamps perfection on the form divine. 'Tis thine to tint the lip with rosy dye, to paint the softness of the melting eye, with auburn curls luxuriantly displayed, The ivory shoulders polished fall to shade, to deck the well-turned arm with matchless grace, to mark the dimpled smile on beauty's face. The task is thine, with cunning hand to throw the veil transparent on the breast of snow. The statesman's thought, the infant's cherub mien, the poet's fire, the matron's eye serene, alike with animated lustre shine beneath thy polished pencil's touch divine. As Britain's genius glories in thy art, adores thy virtues, and reveres thy heart, nations unborn shall celebrate thy name, and waft thy memory on the wings of fame. Oft when the mind, with sickening pangs oppressed, flies to the muse, and courts the balm of rest, when reason, sated with life's weary woes, turns to itself and finds a blessed repose, a generous pride that scorns each petty art, that feels no envy rankling in the heart, no mean deceit that wings its shaft at fame, or gives to pampered vice a pompous name. Then, calm reflection shuns the sordid crowd, the senseless chaos of the little proud. Then, indignation stealing through the breast, spurns the pert tribe in flimsy greatness dressed, who, to their native nothingness consigned, sink in contempt nor leave a trace behind. Then fancy paints, in visionary gloom, the sainted shadows of the laureled tomb, the star of virtue glistening on each breast, divine insignia of the spirit blessed. Then Milton smiles serene, a beauteous shade, in worth august in lustrous fires arrayed. Immortal Shakespeare gleams across the sight, robbed in ethereal vest of radiant light. Winged ages picture to the dazzled view each marked perfection of the sacred few. Popedryden, Spenser. All that fame shall raise, from Chaucer's gloom till Mary's lucid days. Then emulation kindles fancy's fire, the glorious throng poetic flights inspire. Each sensate bosom feels the god-like flame, the cherished harbinger of future fame. Yet timid genius, oft in conscious ease, steals from the world, content the few to please. Obscured in shades, the modest muse retires, while sparkling vapors emulate her fires. The proud enthusiast shuns promiscuous praise, the idiot's smile condemns the poet's lays. Perfection wisely courts the liberal few. The voice of kindred genius must be true, but empty witlings sate the public eye with puny jest and low buffoonery. The buzzing hornets swarm about the great, the poor appendages of pampered state. The trifling, fluttering insects of a day flit near the sun, and glitter in its ray, whose subtle fires with charms magnetic burn, where every servile fool may have his turn. Lulled in the lap of indolence, they boast who best can fawn and who can flatter most, while with a cunning arrogance they blend sound without sense and wit that stabs a friend. Slanders oblique that check ambition's toil, the poisonous weeds that mark the barren soil. So the sweet blossoms of salubrious spring throw the lone wood their spicy odors fling, shrink from the sun, and bow their beauteous heads to scatter incense o'er their native beds, while coarser flowers expand with gaudy ray, brave the rude wind, and mock the burning day. Ah, gentle muse, from trivial follies turn, where patriot souls with god-like passions burn, again to Mary dedicate the line. So shall the envied boast of taste be thine, so shall thy song to glorious themes aspire, warmed with a spark of his transcendent fire. Through all the scenes of nature's varying plan, celestial freedom warms the breast of man, led by her daring hand. What power can bind the boundless efforts of the laboring mind? The godlike fervor, thrilling throw, the heart, gives new creation to each vital part. Throbs rapture throw, each palpitating vein, wings the rapt thought, and warms the fertile brain. To her the noblest attributes of heaven, ambition, valor, eloquence, are given. She binds the soldier's brow with wreaths sublime. From her expanding reason learns to climb. To her the sounds of melody belong. She wakes the raptures of the poet's song. 'Tis God-like freedom bids each passion live, that truth may boast, or patriot virtue give. From her the arts enlightened splendors own. She guides the peasant, she adorns the throne. To mild philanthropy extends her hand, gives truth preeminence, and worth command. Her eye directs the path that leads to fame, lights valor's torch, and trims the glorious flame. She scatters joy o'er nature's endless scope, gives strength to reason, ecstasy to hope, tempers each pang humanity can feel, and binds presumptuous power with nerves of steel, strangles each tyrant phantom in its birth, and knows no title but superior worth. Enlightened Gallia, what were all your toys? Your dazzling splendors, your voluptuous joys? What were your glittering villas, lofty tours? Your perfumed chambers, and your painted bowers? Did not insidious art those gifts bestow, to cheat the prying eye with tinsel show? Yes, luxury differs her spells to bind the deep researches of the restless mind, to lull the active soul with witching wiles, to hide pale slavery in a mask of smiles, the towering wings of reason to restrain, and lead the victim in a flowery chain. Cold superstition favored the deceit, and religion lent her aid to cheat, when warlike Louis, I arrogant and vain, whom worth could never hold, or fear restrain, the soul's last refuge, in repentance sought. An artful Maintenon absolved each fault. She who had led his worldly steps astray, now smoothed his passage to the realms of day. Oh, monstrous hypocrite, who vainly strove by pious fraud to win a people's love, whose coffers groaned with reliques from the proud, the pompous offerings of the venal crowd, the messy hecatombs of dire disgrace, to purchase titles or secure a place, and yet so sacred was the matron's fame, nor truth nor virtue dared assail her name. None could approach but with obsequious breath. To smile was treason and to speak was death. In meek and humble garb, she veiled command, while helpless millions shrunk beneath her hand. And when ambition's idle dream was o'er, and art could blind, and beauty charm no more, she, whose luxurious bosom spurned restraint, who lived the slave of passion, deed a saint. Aye, what were the feelings of the hapeless throng, by threats insulted, and oppressed with wrong, while grasping avarice, with skill profound, spread her fell snares, and dealt destruction round. Each rising sun some new infringement saw, while pride was consequence and power was law. A people's sufferings hoped redress in vain. Subjection curbed the tongue that dared complain. Imputed guilt each virtuous victim led, where all the fiends their direst mischiefs spread. Where, thro' long ages past, with watchful care, thy tyrants, Gallia, nursed the witch despair. Where in her black bastile the harpy fed on the warm crimson drops her fangs had shed, where recreant malice mocked the sufferer's sigh, while regal lightnings darted from her eye, where deep mysterious whispers murmured round, and death stalked sullen o'er the treacherous ground. O day transcendent on the page of fame, when from her heaven insulted freedom came, glancing o'er earth's wide space. Her beaming eye marked the dread scene of impious slavery. Warmed by her breath, the vanquished, trembling race wake from the torpid slumber of disgrace. Roused by oppression, man his birthright claims. O'er the proud battlements red vengeance flames. Exulting thunders rend the turbid skies. In sulphurous clouds the gorgeous ruin lies. The angel, Pity, now each cave explores, braves the chill damps, and fells the ponderous doors, plucks from the flinty walls the clanking chains, where many a dreadful tale of woe remains, where many a sad memorial marks the hour that gave the rights of man to ravenous power. Now snatched from death, the wandering wretch shall prove the rapturous energies of social love, whose limbs each faculty denied, whose sight had long resigned all intercourse with light, whose wasted form the humid earth received, who numbed with anguish scarcely felt he lived, who when the midnight bell assailed his ears, from feverish slumbers woke to drink his tears, while slow consuming grief each sense enthralled, till hope expired, and valor shrunk appalled, where veiled suspicion lurked in shrewd disguise, while eager vengeance upped her thousand eyes, while the herd's slave, the fiend of wrath, designed to lash with scorpion scourges humankind, dragged with ingenious pangs the tardy hour to feed the rancor of insatiate power. Blessed be the favored delegates of heaven, to whose illustrious souls the task was given to wrench the bolts of tyranny and dare the petrifying confines of despair, with heaven's own breeze to cheer the gasping breath, and spread broad sunshine in the caves of death. What is the charm that bids mankind disdain the tyrant's mandate, and the oppressor's chain? What bids exulting liberty impart ecstatic raptures to the human heart? Calls forth each hidden spark of glorious fire, bids untaught minds to valiant feats aspire. What gives to freedom its supreme delight? 'Tis emulation, instinct, nature, right. When this revolving orb's first course began, heaven stamped divine preeminence on man. To him it gave the intellectual mind, persuasive eloquence and truth refined, humanity to harmonize his sway, and calm religion to direct his way, courage to tempt ambition's lofty flight, and conscience to illume his erring sight. Who shall the natural rights of man deride, when freedom spreads her fostering banners wide? Who shall contemn the heaven-taught zeal that throws the balm of comfort on a nation's woes, that tears the veil from superstition's eye, bids despots tremble, scourged oppression die, wrests hidden treasure from the sordid hand, and flings profusion o'er a famished land? Nor yet to Gallia are her smiles confined. She opes her radiant gates to all mankind. Sure on the peopled earth there cannot be a foe to liberty that dares be free. Who that has tasted bliss will e'er deny the magic power of thrilling ecstasy? Who that has breathed health's vivifying breeze would tempt the dire contagion of disease? Or prodigal of joy, his birthright give in shackled Slaveria wretched to live? Yet let ambition hold a temperate sway. When virtue rules 'tis rapture to obey. Man can but reign his transitory hour, and love may bind when fear has lost its power. Proud may he be who nobly acts his part, who boasts the empire of each subject's heart, whose worth exulting millions shall approve, whose richest treasure is a nation's love. Freedom, blithe goddess of the rainbow vest, in dimpled smiles and radiant beauties dressed, I caught thee from thy azure-spangled bed, where ether floats about thy winged head, where tiptoe pleasure swells the choral song, while gales of odor waft the cherub throng. On every side the laughing loves prepare enameled wreaths to bind thy flowing hair. For thee the light-heeled graces fondly twine. To clasp thy yielding waist, a zone divine. Venus for thee her crystal altar rears, decked with fresh myrtle gemmed with lovers' tears. Apollo strikes his lyre's rebounding strings. Responsive notes divine Cecilia sings. The tuneful sisters prompt the heavenly choir. Thy temple glitters with Promethean fire. The sacred priestess in the center stands. She strews the sapphire floor with flowery bands. See, from her shrine electric incense rise. Hark! Freedom, echoes throw the vaulted skies. The goddess speaks. Oh, mark the blessed decree. Tyrants shall fall. Triumphant man be free.